Welcome back to Aggie Sports Overtime. Now we welcome in the Assistant Sports Director at Bryan Broadcasting, Zach Taylor. Zach is going to help us get ready for National Signing Day, which is this upcoming Wednesday. Zach, thanks for being here.
Thanks, Lee. Thanks for having me.
Now, signing day, it's one of those things I think where either you're really into it or maybe not into it at all. So this is for the people that are into National Signing Day. So the big news this week that broke late Thursday night, first reported by ESPN, is that quarterback Kyler Murray has decided to stick with Texas A&M. Kevin Sumlin, Jake Spavital were both in his home on Thursday night. Everything seemed to work out pretty well during that visit. And it's news, of course, because recently it was rumored that maybe he was thinking about switching over to Texas. Well, that made everyone in Aggie land uncomfortable. So now that he's made his decision, what is your reaction to that?
You know, to tell you the truth, I think it's pretty expected. A lot of people looked into it and said Kyler Murray is not only been committed to Texas A&M for so long, he's a legacy. His father, of course, went here, and a lot of people were wondering if that was going to make a big difference in his play. And he'd been committed to Texas A&M for so long. And he also made a point in saying last night that he never wavered from his commitment to Texas A&M. I think Texas really made a good play at him. I think they have a lot of things to offer. I, for one, I'm not going to be the typical Aggie and just bash everything that's in Austin. I think that Charlie Strong will have them in the right direction sooner rather than later, but what they really need is a quarterback right now, especially with Zach Gentry. They had a commitment out of New Mexico. He ended up flipping and going to Michigan to be with Jim Harbaugh. And so Texas right now is really in desperate need of a quarterback, and what better quarterback to have than the #1 dual threat in the nation. But it didn't come as a surprise to me. I don't think it came to a lot of surprise to a lot of people outside of Kyler Murray's camp, or inside Kyler Murray's camp. Maybe outside of it, it came to a little bit of surprise. I think a lot of people in Austin thought maybe he was going to be coming there, but for right now, he's an Aggie.
All right, so I know it's very early. Signing day is, of course, Wednesday, and he hasn't signed the dotted line just yet. But what does this mean for Kyle Allen next year, who had such a great play down the end of the stretch, especially in the Liberty Bowl?
Well, Kyle Allen is going to have some competition now. I think he realizes that beforehand, with Kenny Hill transferring. We don't know where yet, though. But with Kenny Hill transferring, and he's not going to be there any longer to compete with Kyle Allen, now he's got somebody that's going to be there. But the deal with Kyler is he is not going to be an early graduate from high school, which what Kyle Allen was. He graduated early in Arizona. He quickly came to Texas A&M, tried to learn the offense in the spring. So he already had a head start over other true freshmen. And Kyler Murray is going to be a true freshman when he comes to Texas A&M. He's going to come in, say in June or July if he does, and he'll have played baseball in the spring. That's what he's going to try and do. So he won't have as much time to learn the offense. I think he'll definitely compete. I think his physical attributes and his athleticism are some of the best in the nation coming out of high school. But at the same time, the learning curve, and I think Kyle Allen's got that beat. And it should be a good competition. I think it'll make Kyle Allen better as well.
Now, we move to the defensive side of the ball. 5-star defensive tackle Daylon Mack from Gladewater. Originally, he had committed to A&M, but then back in December, he decommitted from the Aggies. But recently, he did have a visit with Texas A&M. So he's now narrowed his school choices down to Texas A&M, TCU, and Texas. This guy, everybody seems to want him on the defensive side of the ball. He's a big guy. Where do you think he's going to sign?
I really don't know. Daylon Mack coming from Gladewater, you think, I'm from East Texas as well, the Tyler area, so you think I have a little bit of insight as to what he wants to do, but I really don't. He's changed his mind quite a bit. He was an early verbal commit to Texas A&M, decided he wanted to change his mind, and then he knocked it down to TCU and LSU. Well, then John Chavis leaves LSU. Now he's at Texas A&M. And so Daylon Mack does have a relationship with him, which bodes well for the Aggies. I think whenever you look at it on paper, you say, hey, he was close to going to LSU, a lot in part because of John Chavis. And so that really helps the Aggies out a lot. Texas has made a really big play. And I think another thing that helps the Longhorns out is that Malik Jefferson, who is one of Daylon Mack's best friends throughout playing Under Armour games and things like that, committed to Texas as an outside linebacker. And so he's there now. He hosted Daylon whenever he went for his official to Texas. And so that bodes well for the Longhorns. But then you look at TCU, and the Horned Frogs are coming off one of the best seasons in program history. Granted, they had that time where they went to the Rose Bowl and beat Wisconsin a few years ago. And TCU right now coming in, a lot of people are thinking they could be the preseason #1. And they really look like it, especially with Trevon Boykin at quarterback. So, Daylon Mack, I think he looks at his options and he says, well, I can't go wrong at any of these places. And obviously he's not going to be playing in front of the crowds at TCU that he would at Texas A&M or Texas. but each one of those schools has a positive, and the way that he's changed his mind kind of in a whim, even though we're only, it's February 4th that's coming up, but he very well could change his mind a couple of times before now and then.
So, Mac, he's kind of a wild card at this point.
Exactly. A 5-star wild card that everybody wants.
And he's going to announce it on signing day, Wednesday. Real quick, back to the offensive side of the ball. Christian Kirk, a 5-star wide receiver from Arizona, has already enrolled at Texas A&M. He's a big get for Kevin Sumlin and Jake Spavital on the offensive side of the ball. Have you seen much of him play? What do you think about his possible impact for the Aggies?
I haven't gotten I haven't gotten much of a chance to see him firsthand, but when you look at a guy with his credentials, you look at a guy who's obviously been so successful, and Arizona, I wouldn't say it's up to Texas's standards in high school because Texas is such a big state, but Arizona's has some really talented players. And he knows Kyle Allen so well, and you mentioned Kyler Murray. He's a buddy of Kyler Murray coming in. And so I think he feels very comfortable here. And you look at the acquisition that Texas A&M made after David Betty left to become the head coach of Kansas. A lot of people were wondering, well, who's going to be the next wide receivers coach? We need somebody in there that's able to get the kids pumped, that's able to work with them, that has experience.
Right.
Well, they've got a guy who has won a Super Bowl with the Indianapolis Colts. He's done such a great job at Stanford and then Virginia Tech. I think as big as John Chavis's hire was, which it was big, that was the biggest hire that Kevin Sumlin made over the offseason, but getting Moorhead was a huge pickup, and he's a great recruiter as well. So I think Christian Kirk is coming somewhere where he's comfortable. He knows both the quarterbacks that are going to be there next year. If Kyler Murray sticks with the Aggies and comes to town next year, and he already knows Kyle Allen. So I think he's already going to be working a good repertoire with Kyle Allen, and then Kyler Murray maybe on down the road. So I think he's comfortable, and I think that's a great get for the Aggies.
And I'm looking forward to seeing what he can do on the field, too, because I've seen a lot of highlights of him, and he looks very electric. Gatorade Player of the Year in Arizona. Very good player. So those are 3 big names for the Aggies. Daylon Mack, still a question mark. We'll find out Wednesday. He is Zach Taylor. Of course, there's still more to learn for signing day, but we'll get there on Wednesday. Zach, thanks for being here with us.
Thanks, Lee. Appreciate it.
We'll send it back to Chris now.